Hey everyone, hope you all had a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on March 6th. And as always, we are not financial advisors, and everything you see on here is for educational purposes only. Alright, let's get started with BTC. So, real quick, this is going to be one of the free updates. And one thing I realized is when I was doing weekly free updates, I was giving out too much information. You know what I mean? It's kind of unfair for like the people who are in my premium room. So, we're going to start doing it bi-weekly now. So if you want to stay, the most up to date, I would suggest waiting until the end of this video so you can get more information on that. But let's get started with BTC. So we came down, we hit our trend line that we saw happening, and I think the last free update was around the 20th, so it was up here. And since then, we talked about coming back down, which we actually did. Now, what we see next is we did land on a white fib, so we still have that 22,000 target. So the two things I see happening here are when we were down here, we mentioned how we would go sideways and then drop, or we would maybe even go up a little bit and then drop. And all we're doing is the reverse head and shoulders. And we talked about this before where, we were on a reverse head and shoulders before, and I saw it failing coming back down. And that's pretty much what's playing out. It's taking a sweet time, but again, that's normal. Another thing that I see here is us going sideways and dropping down. And this is because, again, Bitcoin constantly repeats itself. And you can see this pattern playing out on a lot of the alts. How it's kind of this M shape like this, upward. So let me see who has it. Kind of like Solana has it near a little bit. Ethereum has it. Phantom has it backwards. Though doesn't really have it. See, Dot kind of has it there, but it's a very familiar pattern. And this is what most people would consider like the little double top. But if we look back here, we had a small one here, and usually when this happens, a big drop happens. Same thing here, and this is kind of something I reference to because again, the market always repeats itself. And we just went up, came down, went sideways, up, came down, kind of like sideways, and then it has a big drop. So it does that little M all the time. I think we pulled it over here too. Yeah, so we have the little M here. And this is something I referenced to in a few videos where I see, might be having a big drop soon. And this is kind of playing out on the longer term. So like, let's say if I were to drop down to maybe 12 hours, it's kind of just like doing that. So go sideways and then drop, or we could even drop now technically. Let's see. Yeah, we went up. We hit a weak fib again. I like when it's a stronger, like the light blue ones, which is like a stronger confirmation. Weak fibs usually still favor, that momentum, or that path it's taking. And here we should technically end in a red candle. I thought we would have pushed down a little bit more, touched that bottom trend line. We do know that because of the white fib, we're going to do a temporary reverse up and then a drop back down. Let's see. And as far as we go, we're just kind of just going sideways. Now, there is a lot of big Fed news this week. We had a few members post. One of them was Joey actually messaged me and telling me about how this one's a big deal for Tuesday at 10 a.m. We also had a member post this, anticipated. So, some really big information. So, even he or she mentioned like this could be a rocky ride. So it could be pretty interesting in the next few days. And again, this is what I see happening. Either this route, we go up a little bit and then we come back down. But ultimately, we have that white fib. Ultimately, we have to drop below 22,000. And if we drop below 22,000, we're going to drop below this trend line. And every time we break a trend line, we usually make a big, decent move. I see us coming back down to at least this area here, where there's like the support. So somewhere around like, 20,900. And maybe even lower. Like, I mean, if the market is that crazy, we could drop even lower. Because remember, I do see us overall, like, coming back down to this trend line, kind of just doing a retest. Because we need to do like a double bottom. So it's going to, be interesting. It's going to take a while. Obviously, it's not going to just dump right away. It's taking its sweet time. But I do see us, moving back down to that area. I know someone wanted me to check out Ethereum And again, Ethereum's coming in the same boat as BTC, and it's going to do the exact same thing as BTC. Oops. Get this out the way. Get the little drawing pin. It's doing the little thing. I don't have something to draw the trend line. Well, I could maybe use this. Change it to this. To where I'd have to get below before it starts dropping back down. But I do have this area of interest where it can drop to, which is around 1359. If Bitcoin comes back, drops below the trend line. And remember, we still have that 1075 second arrow target. So somehow it needs to drop all the way back down to that. At least to the 1075. 106 is a white fib, which could technically be left behind. But the second arrow targets usually always hit. So I saw Jay Smith's video talk today, and he was talking about how, like, maybe a big drop is coming back down, that he has, these crazy low targets. It could play out. I don't know about $400 Ethereum. Like, that would have to be like a crazy ridiculous crash. But like, I can see us have a big crash down to at least like 1075. Well, I wouldn't say crash, but like ultimately drop back down. But it'll take months. It's not gonna happen like overnight. Right, we would drop down, come back up, come back down, up, and then finally hit it or something like that. It's not gonna be like an overnight thing. That's just gonna like up, drop down, and just hits it. Right, it will take its time. Now, interesting enough, Luna had a nice little drop, but it's still there. And what's interesting here, it kind of reminds me of something like this spot here, where it drops back down, because it's still within that area. I don't like the fact that it touched my, area to get out, like the little stop loss. So I'll keep watching it. Remember, I actually bought mine just to hold it. Like, I'm buying little amounts, not going anything crazy. And at this point, I would probably wait for a breakout, a retrace, and that would be like your time to get in. But it has to be a big pump. When we had a little pump over here, this one over here, like, that was only like 4%. That didn't count as an initial pump. Like, it has to be a really big pump. And at this point, if we are still in this area from going sideways, because that would be all of this. Like, it's just still dragging. Even though, like, we don't look at this pattern here. Let's say we take the pattern away. Sorry, my voice is kind of going away. I've been talking too much yesterday. It's still just kind of like consolidating, right? Anytime we have a big spike and just goes sideways for a long time, it spikes. Comes back down, consolidates for a long time. So even if it doesn't do its pump now, it will do a pump eventually. Right? At this point, it's just a waiting game. And if it keeps going just sideways, or maybe if it drops, maybe I'll add a little bit more to the bag. Maybe. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to rush in there and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, for Shiba, we dropped below the trend line. We went up, we got rejected at this new trend line, so we mentioned that we were going to drop to the bottom one, and if we drop below the bottom one, we're heading down to at least like 1,000. That's pretty much the area that it's going to head to now. So it's a nice little decent drop, right? It's not too bad from the top of the trend line where it got rejected. 22% drop. And again, this is things that we kind of already see happening, so we're not surprised there. And as far as everybody else, they're almost to their target. So, Matic, when it was all the way up here, we talked about how Matic has to drop to 106, and we're almost there. Solana. I don't know why I was thinking about Luna with Sol. We have 1557. It's slowly retracing, so we know we still have to drop back down at least like 26%. Who else? Phantom is almost there. Again, Phantom wave up here. We talked about, hey, target at 37 cents. You're talking about it's dropping. It's gonna have to drop at like 36% from this top. Needs to drop another 10% from where it's at right now. It did close out. It's a white fib right here, so I can take that out. So we closed that one out already. Another one I'm waiting for is Ocean at 24 cents. So there's a few coins that we're waiting for it to retrace, and these are clues that give me like, hey, the whole market does have to retrace back down. So it's not like, oh, I'm just guessing it's gonna do this. Well, one, we have a white fib. that hints we're gonna do a temporary up and then come back, come right back down. The altar hinting it has to drop back down, and even on the weekly, the pattern is actually playing out nicely. Because if I remove all this noise, I'll remove that too. We don't need that anymore. So I can remove this one up here because we talked about how that's our top. So that's good because we nailed that one there. And you can kind of see, like, now you can kind of see the pattern a little bit, right? Like this whole little area here. So we need to drop back down. Like the thing would have to drop back down below, to at least my little area here. Or maybe even below, actually. Like for the pattern to play out, we'd have to drop below my support area. So it's like low 20,000s. But with that said, that's pretty much it for today. Dollar. Oh, we gotta go back to daily. Oops. So with the dollar, we're kind of just waiting for one to hit before we see the other. If, there's a good chance we could drop back down to the 101 because there's a big gap here. If we drop down to the 101, then we would have to drop back up to the 110. If this recovers and comes back up to the 110, then we have to come back down to close that 101 gap. So right now it's not telling us much just because it can go either way. But once we drop to one area or we go up to this area, then we know we're going to do the opposite. So then it'll kind of give us a clue where Bitcoins go. But ultimately, we do know we have to the dollar has to come back up to 110. And when it does, it will drop Bitcoin. So if we drop here, this will cause Bitcoin to go up. And then if we go back up, it'll cause Bitcoin to go down. And that would kind of make it do... if we go up from here, it'll do the ABC. The reverse head and shoulders. Well, this is a little higher. And then it'll cause it to drop back down. But we'll see. We'll see how we close today, because that's gonna matter a lot. Because if this goes up and breaks above the weak fib, we still have that strong reversal fib that can hold it back down. But if we break above that, then it's gonna continue to go back up. And let me just bring that up really quick. Let me go all the way back. Yeah, so we go here, just so I have the number. Yeah, because even if we break above the weak fib at 22,681, we still have big resistance at 22,818. So we'll see how everything closes out today, and that'll kind of give me a little bit more information. But ultimately, again, sideways, drop, we kind of go up and then drop. So ultimately, we know which way it's kind of going. But with that said, this is where I'm going to put my ads next. So if you guys are in my Discord, you're good to go now. If you're someone that wants to stay updated, I would suggest, checking out the next section. Because again, you don't want to be surprised with these random drops, right? Like I've messaged my group, 15 minutes before this big drop happened. And then this big drop here as well. So again, you don't want to be surprised by all this stuff. So for everybody else, I'll see you guys in the Discord. Now, if you're trying to get more information on the market, if you want to stay up to date with the market, or just looking for a good community, in the description below, I did post my link to my website, which is tindicator.com. In here, you can find a link to Ko-fi or Patreon, which will give you access to the premium side of this channel and group. So I have two levels. I have that really stand out. I have the peace of mind, and I have the edge. And the reason I named these names is because it's kind of what you get out of it, right? On the peace of mind, you do get peace of mind when it comes to the market. You're not going to be surprised. You're not going to be shocked with what's going on. Just the other day, I sent out an alert on a signal talking about, hey, the market looks like it's going to dump. Somebody triggered something that kind of lets me know, hey, there's going to be a big drop. And, 15 minutes later, big old drop happened. And then the same thing happened back over here. So nobody in the room's like, oh, surprise, oh, we dropped back down, right? And this is why I call it peace of mind, because you do get that peace of mind out of it. Then I have the edge tier, which the reason I call it edge, because you get the edge on the market, right? You're not just going to be blindly going into the market and not knowing what's going to happen. And I'm going to go over these tiers right now. So with the, sorry, I almost said edge, but with the peace of mind, you get access to the crypto room here. Edge also includes this, but you just get a little more. So you get, access to market updates. We have our general chat. We have our crypto chat where everybody talks about what's going on. We have daily play. This is where I post all of my stuff, so my stuff won't get buried in a chat room where no one can see it. For the edge tier, you actually get access to the Zoom scheduler, so you can actually schedule one-on-one Zooms with me, so we can go over your portfolio, certain coins you're interested in, you just weren't sure about it. Some people have had issues with their wallets. I help them recover that. I've had people who just want to vent. Sometimes we just talk about certain things, and it helps them calm with the market. So they're not too upset with what's going on. Maybe they got into a meme coin that's down 95% or anything like that. So it's really cool, and a lot of my members love this. We also have the newsroom where we post newsworthy information. Planned orders is where you can see what people are buying or selling. We have our group zooms every now and then. Hidden gems room where people post unique coins that are just coming out. Passive income room for staking and all that stuff. We have a marketplace where people are buying and selling from each other. Tips and links in here, so there's a lot of links for like good cool YouTube videos that you can watch about stop losses, technical analysis. In here's where I always put the newest signal link, and the signal link is one thing I recommend for everybody, because this is where I'll send you emergency alerts. Like if I see the market's about to dump, I will send a message here that's separate from all your other messaging apps, so that way because a lot of people like to keep everything else muted, because sometimes people are posting too much, and this is the one that you can leave on, and this will let you know like, hey, this is emergency, like, hey, we're about to pump, we're about to dump, or hey, something big is going to happen. Then we have charts where you can actually see what people are requesting. If you're on the edge tier, you're allowed to actually request. If you are on the peace of mind, you can only view what other people are requesting, but here you can actually request all the coins you want to see. So I post them here, corresponding to the alphabet. And some of these would be like this. Someone talked about 1. Well, now you know that 1 has to drop back down to 0.013. So if you were looking to buy this coin, I would suggest waiting until it drops to that price before getting in. Because you don't want to get in and it's going to drop back down to this price. And now you would have wished you held off. So you get that advantage, you get that edge right off the market, because now you know when to get in and when not to get in. Another one that we were talking about, and I actually need to do a separate video on this because I didn't add it to the main video, but down here I mentioned, hey, so a member actually showed us this coin, and down here I mentioned, hey, you know what, this thing's about to take off, and it did take off. Once we were up here to this area, I was like, hey, you know what, this could probably be the top, and I drew this area here where we can drop back down to, and look, we barely missed it before it came back up. Now I'm going to update them on this shortly. And then down here we have, a place for woo-woo in case you're into conspiracy stuff or anything like that. We have a astrology room. We have a spiritual room. And then we have 2 other rooms right here. These are our little kept secrets. We won't go into that too much. We also have a free trading room. So if you know anybody that actually is into trading, also link is in the description below. If you're on the edge tier, you actually get an additional room where it gives you additional coins instead of just the free ones. But yep, that kind of breaks down my 2 levels of the premium. So again, if you want to stay up to date, I suggest joining us. We have a really good community. Everybody helps everybody out here. Nobody FOMOs, nobody's upset, nobody is shocked by what's going on with the market. I've had members even tell me, like, sometimes it's kind of boring because we already know what's going to happen, right? There's not that like feeling of like not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, right? It's like, oh, what's going to happen? Is it going to go up? It's going to go down? We kind of already know what's going to go, like, right? And if we know we're going to drop and it goes up, we know it's going to come right back down. So if you made it this long, thank you for staying this long, and hope to see you in the room. All right, bye.